Okay, so everybody loves Christopher Nolan nowadays. Like everybody is such a big fan of his work, and everybody is such a big fan of. But not many people know that The Prestige is actually the genesis of him as a filmmaker. You know, everybody gives Memento as an example, but I honestly believe that the essence of what he tries to do in every film, where he plays with time, space, characters, all of that, that whole usual things that he tries to do with us, he began with The Prestige. He did all of that in The Prestige, and then like उसने फिर चलो इसमें से ये उठा के ये करते, उसमें से वो उठा के वो करते. So all of that I think is very well summarized in Prestige, compared to all the other works that he has got. And that's why Prestige.
So I think what's most crucial about the Prestige is the fact that he's also a writer. Okay, he's also the writer of the film. So when a director writes his or her own content, it makes a lot of difference to the way it's being shown or the way it's being portrayed. Also, this film depends on the writing. Crucially, depends on the writing. See, unlike films like Pulp Fiction and all, where you take the film and completely restructure it in the edit. This is a film which requires a certain narrative structure right from the beginning, because you're structuring your story in a certain way. So just to deconstruct it and tell you how the two brothers, Jonathan Nolan and Christopher, who wrote the screenplay, I think what they've done is they've tried to make it in three layers. The first layer, essentially, is this layer of what's happening normally. Like, there's this court case that happens, and this guy gets imprisoned, and while he's in prison, he's reading a journal. Okay? When he's reading a journal, you go into the second layer of story. His journal mein kya ho raha hai? That's the second layer. From there, while that journal is being read, the other character is reading a book which takes you into the other flashback. So your story is essentially taking place on three platforms simultaneously. The moment character A gets to know something about character B, you go into that story. And the moment character B gets to know about character A, you go into the third layer of the story. So that's how you are essentially, this is the most simple way in which I'm putting it, okay? Like, this is the simplest way of deconstructing the story. Apart from that, what you're doing is you're dividing so that's the horizontal division of the film. So I'm an editor, always divide stuff like I'm seeing it on a timeline. So then they divide the film vertically. So you always have the pledge, then have like how a magician show, the way it's explained in the film also. You have the pledge. Then you have the second thing, which is I forgot what the second act in the magician's show is called. And then you have the prestige. So the film also has these three acts. Okay. So three acts essentially are how you are also dividing the film structurally in a vertical manner. Act 1, 2, 3. So ये हो गया आपका basic story layout or breakup. And then you start thinking about how you're going to break the linear story. Linear story could be these two guys, they're assisting a magician, and then one of their love interest dies, and then they have a fallout because of that. Then one goes in search of Tesla to set up an electronic thing. Other one has already started doing his own tricks independently, and then eventually one gets killed, and then the other guy gets involved in the case, and then there's a court. That's all that the story is about. There's nothing beyond that or before that or after that. इतना ही कहानी है. इसको 3 घंटा उसने सिर्फ जिस तरह से बताया है, that's what makes it exciting. So that's how I would break the story down. So when we study cinema, the first thing we're taught is axis, all these grammatical 30 degrees mein hona chahiye angle. Nolan doesn't really follow all these things very well. He kind of breaks the basic cinematic grammar. So what happens is, your edit sometimes might consider any of it. They're very loose edits. कहीं से भी कहीं पे कट हो रहा है, एक्सिस पे कट हो रहा है, एक्सिस जंप हो रहा है, close up to close up, you're jumping from. So all of that, I think that is the first job of the editor, is to smoothen that out and create a sort of visual pattern. Okay. Once you have that, a film like Prestige requires very heavy rhythm. So you need to have rhythm the way you are, telling the story, because you can't hang around in one layer of the story for too long. You have to jump to the second layer, then you have to jump to the third layer. You need to keep jumping between those timelines in order to even keep the interest going on. Because ज़्यादा कुछ हो नहीं रहा है. Like in terms of information, you are not getting a lot of information each time. You're getting little things here and there, which kind of just keeps getting, that's what's happening. Other thing, very crucial in Prestige, is what not to show. For those who have seen the movie, and since you also see the movie, you know the entire film is a deception. Like a magician, what he's doing is he's completely misguiding you. इधर कुछ कर रहा है तुम वहाँ देखो, इधर कुछ कर रहा है तुम वहाँ देखो. So I think this distraction is something that the editor also has to keep in mind. If you hold on to a shot for too long, you might give out the most crucial piece of information that is there. Other pattern, if you notice, in is the use of which shot where. So the film starts off with hats and one cat going through those hats. This is a pattern you notice. कि अगर इंटरस्टेलर देखोगे तो क्या इंटरस्टेलर की शुरुआत है, एक बुक शेल्फ है, उसके ऊपर से जा रही है और एक स्पेसक्राफ्ट पड़ा है. होल स्टोरी ऑफ इंटरस्टेलर हैज बीन गिवन थ्रू दैट वन शॉट. सेम वे प्रेस्टीज का पूरा कहानी वो हैट्स के शॉट से बताया हुआ है. But you are then taken away from it. You'll be made to forget it, and then when you second and third and fourth time watch Prestige, you realize, this is what happened. This is what happened. This is what happened. But there are a lot of clues throughout the movie, like Borden, Christian Bale's character. He keeps, his wife later. He keeps telling him there are days that I love you and there are days that I don't. These are all. वो है तो कोई और eventually. The days that he loves her is the days that it's him, and the days he doesn't love her is the day he's his brother. So these kind of, you have to plant them very efficiently, but now उस पे ध्यान नहीं जाना चाहिए firstly. So I think that's the job of the editor. Secondly, you're going to ask me a separate question about this, but just I have to mention this as an editor. What happens is, you have a very fine palette of actors. They're all great actors. And back then they were not that well known, like none of them are A-listers 2005, 2000 when they were hired. You have Scarlett Johansson, you have, except for Michael Caine, Hugh Jackman. You have this, these guys who are like young and bursting with energy and, giving this whole performance. वो भी tap करना चाहिए, क्योंकि वो ये सब काट-कूट में ना, you can't forget that this guy is also delivering, or this woman is also delivering some kind of performance. Which is needed. Yeah, these are like, again, there's a lot that you have to go through.
Hey guys, thanks for watching this video, and if you like what we do, follow us on our socials and check out our other uploads.